Good morning, Missouri. Today is Monday, April 9th, 2018. Thanks for waking up with us.
Winter is having a tough time letting us go.
Man, it looks silly outside.
To hang out a little bit, yeah. But at least we're going to be back to spring by Wednesday. Can't promise today and tomorrow. It's still going to be below average, but 70s. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So that's going to be some really, really good news. Now, we are actually done with the snowfall. If you do park outside, you probably need maybe just a couple of extra minutes to warm up your car, brush some of that snowfall off. But as far as our roads are concerned, most of them are actually pretty great. The farther you head off to the north and west towards the Kansas City area, you could see maybe a couple of slick spots there. Otherwise, we're actually dry, just hanging on to the cloud cover, and we keep that cloud cover around pretty much all day long. Now, of course, it is still a chilly start to the morning. A lot of us are back into the 30s, and actually at the coolest, we're at 29 right now in Versailles. And if we take a look at your wind chill feels like temperature, that's where a lot of us are feeling more like the mid-20s. And I think that's at the coolest. We only feel like the low to mid-20s throughout this morning. So not the teens like we were seeing yesterday. And we are actually going to be warmer this afternoon than we were yesterday, but we'll have an even bigger warm-up, like I said, for the second half of this week. So we'll take a closer look at that in my 8-day forecast coming up in just a couple minutes.
Early this morning, missiles struck a Syrian airbase, killing at least 14 people.
Syria's state-run media reports the strike was likely, quote, American aggression, but the U.S. says it did not launch these strikes. Last year, the U.S. did launch several dozen missiles at a Syrian airbase after a chemical attack killed dozens of people in Syria. President Trump's calling Syrian President Bashar al-Assad, quote, an animal. President Trump also delivered a rare personal criticism of Russian President Vladimir Putin for supporting Assad. He also took on President Obama for being soft on Syrian aggression. In doing so, he declared his intent to withdraw U.S. troops from Syria in the coming months, despite resistance from many of his advisors.
For its part, Israel has also hit Syria with missiles in recent years, but it's not commenting on these latest strikes. This attack was on a military airbase in Homs province. Most of those killed were either Iranians or members of Iran-backed groups.
The UN Security Council has 2 emergency meetings scheduled for today.
They'll discuss the missile strike as well as the Syrian gas attack that also took place over the weekend. And that attack killed at least 40 people. First responders entered apartments and found bodies collapsed on floors, apparently from suffocation. In response to the attack, President Trump blamed the Syrian government for what he called, quote, mindless chemical attack. In a series of tweets, Trump held Russia, Iran, and Syria's president responsible. Syrian government denied the allegations, calling them, quote, fabrications. Russia also pushed back on the reports. The country has politically and militarily supported Syria in civil war since 2011.
As attacks in Syria escalate, John Bolton is entering his role as the U.S. National Security Advisor today. His handling of the crisis will offer a look into how the former UN ambassador pairs with President Trump's interests. Bolton met with H.R. McMaster yesterday, his last day as Security Advisor.
Here's what's happening right now. Emergency crews in St. Louis County are investigating an overnight explosive fire. Our sister station, KSDK, had a reporter on the scene in Webster. Neighbors say they heard a huge boom. No one was hurt, but the house was completely destroyed. You can see the house going up in flames right there. The fire chief says the cause of the fire is still under investigation, guys. So some late-breaking news from St. Louis County this morning.
All right, we'll keep an eye on that one. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Lyden. The National Security Council spokesman will leave the White House soon. The White House announced Michael Anton departure on Sunday. This leaves President Trump without one of his top foreign policy communicators in the face of several international concerns. A White House official says Trump called Anton and thanked him for his service.
President Trump is denying reports White House Chief of Staff John Kelly's credibility and influence have diminished. He tweeted saying a Washington Post story says Trump has tried to bypass Kelly is not true. The president has often criticized the Post and other major news outlets. 3 sources say the president considered firing Kelly last month and acting as his own chief of staff. Previous reports say Kelly has also threatened to quit. Kelly was quoted saying, "I'm out of here, guys," but a senior administration official says this was just about leaving work early.
The attorney for the porn actress claiming she had an affair with President Trump is trying to depose the president again. Attorney Michael Avenatti filed a motion in federal court against Trump and his personal attorney, Michael Cohen. Stormy Daniels is arguing the $130,000 agreement she signed with Cohen before the 2016 election to keep quiet about the affair is not valid. Here's everything Avenatti requested in the legal filing. Avenatti wants the president to be deposed for no more than 2 hours. He said he'd ask him about the payment. Trump told reporters last week he did not know about it. In addition, he wants Cohen to have a deposition of no more than 2 hours. He also had 10 requests for Trump and Cohen to produce documents. The president has denied the affair through White House officials.
The Trump administration is using a transportation grant program that focuses on rural areas, many of which supported the president. This is leading to more road and rail projects in GOP strongholds. Most of Obama's transportation grants went to urban areas where he did well electorally. Missouri has not gotten any grants from the program this year.
North Korea's government has told the U.S. Kim Jong-un is about ready to talk about nuclear weapons with President Trump. This is the first time North Korea has directly talked about the possible unprecedented summit between the two countries. The Trump administration said it will not talk with North Korea unless it discusses giving up its nuclear program.
The UN Secretary General and Singapore's foreign minister says they're concerned about global trade tensions and rising protectionism. They voiced these worries during back-to-back meetings in Beijing yesterday. They say China is absolutely crucial in the international system. The U.S. was not specifically mentioned, but this comes as the U.S. and China are exchanging tariff threats. China vowed Friday to counterattack with great strength if President Donald Trump follows through on threats to impose tariffs on an additional $100 billion in Chinese goods. The president's announcement followed China's decision to tax $50 billion in American products. That was a response to a move last week to impose tariffs on $50 billion in Chinese goods.
And looking at last year's trade numbers, here's what this could all mean. The U.S. bought more than $500 billion worth of Chinese goods last year. Now the U.S. is considering penalties on some $150 billion of those imports. The country sold about $130 billion in goods to China in 2017 and faces a possibly devastating hit if the threats are implemented. The committee looking into Governor Eric Greitens' extramarital affair hits a deadline today. It's supposed to submit the official report by the end of the day. Lawmakers are scheduled to meet behind closed doors at the Capitol at 2 this afternoon. The report will include one of 3 recommendations: impeachment, censure, which is a less severe punishment than expulsion, or no action at all.
Bill Cosby will be tried again today on charges he sexually assaulted a woman in 2004. Cosby's first trial ended last June with a hung jury. The new trial will happen in the same Philadelphia courtroom with the same judge. Cosby hired the same lawyer who defended child molestation charges against Michael Jackson. 5 other Cosby accusers will testify in the retrial.
Starting today, Facebook will notify users if their data was compromised. The social media platform will post a link at the top of users' newsfeed about what information other apps are permitted to see. People will also see if Cambridge Analytica, a London-based voter analytics group, also had access to their data. CEO Mark Zuckerberg will testify before Congress this week. Apple co-founder Steve Wozniak left Facebook after concerns about their security. He wrote in a Facebook post Sunday that the platform brought him more negatives than positives, and Apple has always had more secure ways to share information. Later, the profile that he shared that message from was not accessible and appeared to be deleted.
YouTube could face an investigation for accusations of profiting off young viewers. 20 advocacy groups filed a complaint against the Google subsidiary on Sunday. The groups are calling on the FTC to see if YouTube illegally collected data on 23 million children. A Google spokesperson, which is also owned by YouTube's parent company, says protecting kids and families has always been a top priority.
Fox News personality Laura Ingraham will return after a week-long break today after controversial tweets cost her show advertisers. Ingraham taunted Parkland's shooting survivor David Hogg about college rejections in a March tweet. Hogg encouraged supporters to boycott advertisers that sponsored Ingram's show. At least a dozen advertisers responded and distanced themselves from Ingram's program.
An autopsy is scheduled for tomorrow to determine if a body found over the weekend is from the family who died in a crash off a California cliff last month. Vacationers saw a body floating in the Pacific Ocean Saturday. Days after heavy rain held off a search, officials say the body appears to be a black female and could not immediately determine the age or identity. Some more background on that crash. The crash killed 5 members of the Hart family and left 3 children missing. Last week, authorities said the crash was intentional because of data suggesting the car stopped stopped and then accelerated off the road. Investigators say the children could have been swept away by seawater because no one had on a seatbelt. Neighbors reported the family to Child Protective Services days before that crash.
New video this morning of breaking ice in China, as Missouri isn't the only place with colder weather than usual. A series of ice-breaking explosions were set off on a frozen river. The explosions were used on a 3-mile stretch, creating spectacular ice plumes. They used the blast to prevent ice jams that can pose danger to local residents.
All right, and we, of course, are done with the snowfall here, still waking up to very chilly temperatures out your door this morning and tomorrow morning as well. But beyond that point, I am seeing some big improvements in our 8-day forecast. So I'll show you that and what to expect for the rest of the weekend. It's coming up in just a little bit.
Reading aloud to children can be a treasured family tradition, sometimes during an afternoon break or right before bed. We'll tell you why you might want to do more of it and how it can improve your kid's future later on in Your Health.
Live look at it from Mid-Missouri. That's downtown Columbia at 4:40. We'll be right back.
Get ready. It's time to test your weather IQ.
True or false? The deadliest tornado in U.S. history went through Missouri. The answer is true. In 1925, the tri-state tornado raged through Missouri, Illinois, and Indiana, spanning 219 miles and killing 695 people. Thankfully, we have many advancements since then, and a similar tornado today would likely not be as deadly.
Watch KOMU 8 News at 6 for the first alert weather IQ question of the day. Brought to you by Break Time and Jiffy Lube.
Hi, I'm Jay Ashcroft. Here at the Secretary of State's office, we take the integrity of our elections seriously. Missourians passed Constitutional Amendment 6. Missouri's new photo ID law is now in effect. Have questions about the new voter ID law or need to register to vote? We're here to help. Visit showittovote.com or call 866-868-3245. Remember, if you're registered, you can vote.
Tired of trying to hide your belly bulge? Now there's a fun, effective, and easy way to get fit and toned in just minutes a day with the Simply Fit board.
I'm Lori Grenier from Shark Tank. I like being toned, but I'm not big into working out and sweating. That's why I fell in love with the Simply Fit board.
The secret is its unique twisting motion and balanced board pivoting action that engages your entire core, all while having fun. Call or go online now to get your Simply Fit board for only $39.99.
This late winter weather has turned some green thumbs into frozen ones. KOMU 8's Zara McDowell joins us live outside a nursery in Moberly with the challenges of a late selling season.
You know, I think my thumbs are frozen as well from being outside. It is quite chilly out here, but we are actually talking about gardeners' thumbs. I spoke with the managers here at Ritter's in Moberly who've had to close up shop because of the abnormal freezing temperatures. Ritter's is a wholesale nursery, a storefront with fruits and vegetables, and they own 14 greenhouses to carry it all. One of the managers, Tyler Ritter, says the biggest problem is space. They've usually sold tons of flowers by now, but are having to store them in greenhouses as new flowers sprout, leaving those greenhouses very overcrowded.
We opened the third week of March, but we've closed quite a few days here and there with the weather. I mean, if it's below about 40 degrees, 45 degrees, we're closing. So we haven't had a full week open up at our retail, and we haven't even started our wholesale, which generally, again, starts in that third or fourth week of March as well.
Ritter said it can be difficult to bounce back from those lost early sales in the season, but they are looking forward to that warmer weather this week. Reporting live in Moberly, Zara McDowell, KOMU 8 News Today.
Now, your live Doppler 8 First Alert weather.
All right, that warmer weather is definitely on its way, but in the meantime, we are waking up to some cloudy skies. There's probably still a little bit of snowfall. If you do park outside, you probably need a couple of extra minutes to warm up your car. Make sure you've brushed some of that off. But the good news is we have seen significant melting on our roadways overnight and early this morning. So really shouldn't see a lot of slick spots with the exception of areas well off to the north and west. So here's a look at your weather headlines. I mean, we just talked about it. It's a cool start to the work week this week. We've only got 2 more really chilly mornings with with temperatures back in the 20s and 30s for today and for tomorrow before we start to see significant changes. We're actually going to be above average for the first time in several weeks for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Friday, we could see our next round of, finally, not some snowfall, but some isolated showers and thunderstorms, primarily Friday afternoon and into Friday evening, and that is going to leave us with a cooler weekend, but fortunately, we're going to be at least a little bit closer to average than we've been for the past several days. So here's this cooler start to the week, 49 for a high today, back into the 50s with tons of sunshine back in the forecast for Tuesday, and overall, it's actually looking like a fairly breezy week, but that's a good thing for us because those winds kick up out of the south, helping to keep our temperatures back into the mid and lower 70s. We actually might hit the upper 70s in some spots, nearing 80 degrees by your Thursday afternoon. So definitely something to look forward to there. And then, of course, like I said, with the showers and storms that we see on Friday, that system knocks us back into the 50s for this upcoming weekend. But here's temperatures out your door this morning. Most of us just kind of averaging in the mid to low 30s. And that northerly breeze on top of it, really not too bad. At least we're not seeing those wind chills back into the teens, but we are at least feeling more like the mid and lower 20s. And that's probably the coolest that we're going to feel throughout much of our morning hours today. Now, of course, that system is well off to our east at this point. We're still picking up a ton of extra cloud cover, and we're going to see some breaks in that cloud cover in and out throughout the day, especially folks down to the south and southwest. But overall, just hanging on to a lot of cloud cover. Maybe a stray flurry on the backside of this system couldn't be ruled out for that morning commute. But most of us are going to be dry until a second cold front rolls through later on this evening. And of course, that drier air is going to replace it. So we are going to be dealing with lots of sunshine and, of course, clearer skies for your Tuesday. But ahead of that, we could see maybe a couple of really, really light spotty showers. We don't have a ton of moisture to work with this system, but I wouldn't be surprised if later on this afternoon and evening we might see a stray shower. But here's that really nice dry air that rolls on in behind that system. It's going to lead us to a chilly again Tuesday morning, but through the rest of the afternoon, actually, things aren't going to be too bad. We finally get the sunshine back, and of course, we'll see at least a little bit of a warm up. So some of us do hit the 50s later on this afternoon. I think all of us are going to be more comfortably back into the 50s by tomorrow. For today, though, on average, upper 40s for an afternoon high. A little bit cooler north of I-70. Like I said, a little bit warmer down to the south. Mostly cloudy, maybe a spot shower possible, but that's about it. We are going to be dry overnight tonight. It's going to be another chilly evening. I think a lot of us actually drop back into the upper 20s for overnight lows. And then once again, let's take another look at this 8-day forecast because it's just beautiful. After Tuesday, we are back into the 70s. For Wednesday and Thursday, again, keep in mind, it's going to be a very, very breezy week. Our only opportunity for precipitation, though, is actually going to be on Friday. We're fortunately and finally dry for the first time that we've been in a while, pretty much all weekend long. Actually looking like a dry start to our next work week too. And even though we do bump back into the 50s over the course of the weekend, it does look like we see some at least average or above average days in the forecast for next week.
The Cat in the Hat, The Very Hungry Caterpillar, Good Night Moon. Reading these books and more to your kids could help their future. How reading aloud to your children could prevent a couple of problems in school. That's next.
You're looking live over in mid-Missouri. The time is 4:48. We'll be right back.
Put a trip to Vintage Hill Farm at the top of your list for your gardening this spring. Vintage Hill offers 1,600 varieties of annuals, tropicals, perennials, trees, and shrubs. They have the best new plants as well as old-fashioned favorites. A dazzling collection of hanging baskets and containers will add instant beauty to your outdoor living space. Beginning gardeners and plant connoisseurs alike are welcome at Vintage Hill Farm, 6 miles northwest of the Boonville Bridge on Highway 87.
Are you tired of paying expensive cable or satellite bills month after month? Now you see them. Now you don't. You don't need expensive cable or satellite anymore. All you need is the free TV key from Clear TV. Now you can watch your favorite broadcast network shows for free. The free TV key hides behind your TV and is easy. Just plug it into your TV's cable input. No wires, no unsightly antennas. Your television will instantly receive top-rated network shows, local news and weather, sporting events, and more, all for free in vivid HD and digital signal. There's no contracts, no monthly fees, and no unexpected rate increases. Call or go online now to get your free TV Key HD digital antenna for just $19.99. Order right now and you can add a second free TV key. Just pay separate processing and handling. That's 2 free TV keys, a $40 value, all for only $19.99. Not available in stores. Order now.
Feeling pretty lucky. I was going to plant a tree right there, till a neighbor stopped me and said I ought to make sure that there aren't any underground utility lines. Said I should call Missouri One Call, that the utility company would come out and mark their underground lines. So I called, and guess what? There's a gas line buried right along there. I had no idea. And to think, I almost didn't call. Call before you dig. It's free, it's the law, and it's just common sense.
Here's what's happening right now. German transportation strikes are taking to the skies. Last week, we told you how a German union known as Verdi organized a strike on the country's trains. But now Reuters reports the union has called for further strikes, this time affecting staff at Germany's major airports. Verdi said ground staff and some fire services staff will go on strike tomorrow. Airport operators have already warned passengers to expect significant delays. These workers that are on strike are asking for a 6% pay raise. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Landon. Most Americans don't know about cancer drug shortages. A survey by Dana-Farber Cancer Institute reveals only 16% were aware of the problem, which applies to many cancer drugs. However, most of the 400 adult surveys said they'd want to know more about the issue and potential substitutions if they were a patient.
Reading out loud to your children might help them with hyperactivity and attention problems. A study published in Pediatrics magazine followed a group of kids and their parents from birth through age 3. The parents got regular coaching on how to read aloud and play pretend with their kids. The study finds these children were less likely to have behavioral problems when they started school. An ancient Chinese tradition might help people with chronic breathing problems. Researchers at State Key Laboratory of Respiratory Disease says Tai Chi could improve lung function. They assigned COPD patients to 12 weeks of the practice or pulmonary rehabilitation. Both groups had similar improvements. Experts say Tai Chi is an effective, low-cost option for those who can't afford rehab or don't have it in their area.
An oxygen-filled chamber is helping people whose wounds won't heal on their own. We're typically exposed to about 23% oxygen in the atmosphere, but these tube-like chambers have 100% oxygen. They're often used for patients who have diabetes, open sores, or an amputation. But it's also used as a preventative measure for those with a cancer diagnosis.
I have blood flow where they didn't normally have blood flow before. With diabetes, you can have calcified veins. And so with calcified veins, you don't have a good amount of blood flow, especially to your lower extremities.
Peshoff says the chambers have been around for years, but doctors are just now finding out about everything they can do. You're looking live over the Lake of the Ozarks. It's 4:52. KOMU 8 News Today. We'll be right back.
You push yourself every day. Tempur-Pedic helps you recover every night. Only Tempur material precisely conforms to your body for up to twice as much pressure relieving power, so you won't toss and turn. And you'll wake up feeling powerful.
At Slumberland, our sleep professionals will fit you in the bed that's right for both of you. Plus, save up to 50% on select Tempur-Pedic mattress sets. And pay no interest for up to 60 months. Hurry in now for best selection. Slumberland, it's a good life.
What's the one constant in life? Change. Hi, I'm Doug Wallace with All Weather. What hasn't changed in 25 years is our belief customers deserve competitive upfront pricing, the ability to approve work before it begins, and access to a real technician that's licensed and highly skilled, not a salesperson disguised that way. No matter your issue, plumbing, heating, or cooling, we're there to solve it expertly, on time and on budget. Next time, call All Weather. We fix stuff. No surprises here.
Cleaning the tub is a back-breaking chore. There has to be an easier way. Introducing the all-new Hurricane Spin Scrubber, the new cordless and rechargeable power scrub brush that cleans faster and easier. Even these dirty old tiles are no match for Spin Scrubber. Sparkly and clean every time. The incredible torque can bust through any caked-on crud with ease. So forget bending and straining to clean the tub, because you'll get this extension pole free. Now reach down into the tub to power away stains. You'll also get this free Soft Flex cone brush that fits perfectly into corners. Plus, we'll include this extra-large flat brush free. Use it to bust through dirt on the shower floor. You'll also get this handy storage bag. Get your Hurricane Spin Scrubber today for just $39.99. But hold everything. Call right now and you can get a second set. Just pay separate fee. Plus, get your shipping absolutely free. Order now.
Call 1-800-421-1028 to get your Hurricane Spin Scrubber. Call now or go to spinscrubber.com. So call 1-800-421-1028. Call now.
Where can you find a trusted, locally owned pharmacy with the newest conveniences? Eldon Drug Company. How to shorten wait times for those needed medicines with online ordering and an easy app for refills sound to you? That's still Eldon Drug Company. Stop by and check out our durable medical equipment such as diabetic shoes, lift chairs, wheelchairs, rollators, and ask about our rental items. Most insurance accepted and accredited by HQAA. Eldon Drug Company. Local made easier.
Now, your live Doppler 8 First Alert weather.
All right, welcome back. Your time now is 4:55. It's Monday. Of course, we're off to a chilly start to the day, but we're fortunately at least done with the snowfall. So here's kind of a quick check at some of our amounts in some of the heavier areas. So some of these darker shaded blues. Most of us on the heavier side of things, of course, a lot of us received well less than this, but we were between about an inch and a half between Columbia, Ashland, Jefferson City, parts of Paris, and Mexico. I think the largest report that I've seen so far, at least with what I've looked at this morning, is 2 inches that were reported off to our north between Macon and Moberly. And of course, there were some heavier amounts well off to our north the closer you get to the Missouri-Iowa border. So as far as precip in general, we're still not doing too bad. We're actually just under an inch behind for where we should be for the entire month of April, but we're still coming out ahead for all of 2018. So that's some really, really good news there. Updated look at our drought monitor. Actually, most of the state, especially down to the south and east, we're actually doing okay. We could still use a little bit more rainfall, and we probably don't need the snow, but we need the rainfall for areas well off to our north and northwest where we are still in that D0 abnormally dry or the D1 moderate drought conditions for the north and northwestern portion of our KMUA viewing area. And it's actually overall going to be a fairly dry week this week. The only rain chance I'm seeing with some thunderstorm activity as well is actually going to be Friday afternoon and Friday evening. So we'll have some updates on that forecast again coming up in just a couple minutes. Landon?
Thank you, Tori. Here's what's happening right now. Reuters reports Chinese officials and state media are trying to downplay the likely impact of this trade dispute with the United States. Chinese state media described the Trump administration's positioning on trade as the product of an anxiety disorder. These comments from various Chinese government advisors came as President Trump said China would back down in the face of rising trade tensions, though China has vowed to never back down in any trade war. So that's the latest on this ongoing issue between the U.S. and China over a trade dispute, guys.
All right. Thank you very much.
The time is 4:57. You're looking live over Jefferson City. KMUA News Today. We'll be right back.
Get to know Dr. Latricia Thomas.
I have a family practice here in Columbia, and I enjoy treating children and adults from regular checkups to dentures.
A concerned partner in your dental health.
It's my job to make you look and feel your best.
A reputation built on trust.
Every patient's different.